You know that sound, that constant drip, drip, drip from the kitchen or the bathroom faucet? It's not just annoying, it's a problem you can absolutely fix yourself. So today, we're going to show you exactly how to silence that drip and score a really satisfying DIY win.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about why that drip is more than just a noise. Then, we'll play detective and diagnose the leak. After that, we'll try one super easy fix before we open up the faucet itself. And finally, we'll cover how to finish the job right and, just as importantly, when it's time to call in a pro.
Okay, let's start with that sound, because it's not just an irritation, it's actually a signal that something's not right.
Yeah, that sound. The one that seems to get 10 times louder the second the house goes quiet. It's enough to drive you a little crazy, right? I bet it does. And it's a clear sign of a problem that, trust me, is not going to fix itself.
And here's why you really should take action. I mean, besides getting your sanity back, you're stopping some serious water waste. Get this, a single drip per second can waste over 3,000 gallons of water in a year. That's enough for like 180 showers. Plus, you're preventing extra wear and tear on your pipes. And the best part? The cause is usually super simple, often just a worn-out seal or a tiny bit of debris.
All right, time to put on our detective hats. Before we can even think about fixing the leak, we have to figure out exactly where it's coming from. This right here is the #1 question. Before you touch a single tool, just watch. Seriously, figuring out where that water is escaping from is half the battle won. You're basically looking for one of 3 main culprits: the spout itself, that's the most common one, or the area right around the handle, or maybe right at the base where the faucet meets the sink. And here's the cool part. The leak's location gives you major clues. If it's dripping from the spout, even when the faucet is all the way off, that's almost always a bad washer or a worn-out O-ring, which is really just a little rubber donut that's supposed to create a seal. But if you see water oozing out from around the handle, well, that's a dead giveaway that an internal seal is failing. Okay, before we even think about breaking out the toolbox, let's try the absolute simplest fix first. This could literally solve your problem in less than 5 minutes.
We are going to clean out the aerator. Now, first, and I cannot say this enough, shut off the water supply under the sink. Got it? Good. Now, just unscrew that little cap at the very tip of the spout. That's the aerator. Rinse out any gunk you see, and if there's any of that white, chalky stuff on it, just soak it in some plain white vinegar for a bit. Screw it back on, turn the water on, slowly, and see if we got lucky. So if cleaning the aerator didn't do the trick, no worries. It just means the problem is a little deeper inside the faucet. It's time to grab our tools and perform some minor surgery. Now, most faucets come in 2 main flavors. You've got the older, 2-handled, compression style on the left, which you can usually fix by just replacing a simple washer. Then on the right, you've got the more modern, single-handled cartridge faucet. For those, you'll usually have to replace the entire cartridge. So, first step is just to figure out which kind you're working with. So if your sink has 2 separate handles, one for hot and one for cold, this part is for you. You know the drill by now. Water off first. Then you'll pop the handle off to get to what's called the stem. Go ahead and unscrew that, and right at the bottom, you're going to find a small rubber washer. If that thing is cracked or looks all squashed and flat, bingo, that's your problem. Just replace it with a new one, put everything back together, and that drip should be ancient history. Okay, but what if you've got one of those single-handled jobs? Well, your repair is going to look a little different, but it's still totally doable. Once again, water off. Then take off the handle. Underneath, you'll see the cartridge. It's usually a plastic piece held in by a clip or a screw. You'll need to pull that straight out. Now, you could just replace the little rubber O-rings on it, but honestly, it's usually a much better idea to just replace the whole cartridge. Just make sure the new one is sitting in there nice and snug before you put it all back together. All right, you did the repair. We're in the home stretch. Now for 2 final really important steps: testing your work and knowing when it's time to call for backup. Now, I know you're eager to see if you fixed it, but please don't just crank the water back on full blast. Turn the supply valves on slowly to avoid any sudden pressure surges. Then work the handle back and forth a few times, hot to cold, just to make sure your new seals are working. And here's a pro tip. Clean out that aerator every few months just to keep things flowing like new. But what if you did everything right and you still hear that drip? Okay, first off, don't panic. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means the problem might be a bit more complex than we thought. See, sometimes the issue isn't a simple part like a washer. It could be a damaged valve seat. That's the metal part inside the faucet that the washer presses against. If that's worn out or warped, you'll still get a drip. And these are trickier problems that often require a professional's tools and know-how. And believe it or not, this is a DIY skill in itself, knowing when to tap out and call in a pro. If you've tried the basics and that drip is laughing at you, making that call is the smartest move you can make. It'll save you a ton of frustration and prevent a small problem from turning into a big, wet, expensive one. You've learned the basics, you know how to diagnose the problem, and now you know your options. You are ready to silence that drip for good.